So to delineate some contours, I'm actually going to go over here to the Spatial Analyst Tools. So remember, in order for these tools to work, you'll need to have your extensions on. So to turn on your extensions, you go in here to turn on your extensions. And I'm going to scroll down to my surface set of tools. And inside of my surface set of tools, I have contours. And I'm going to try, for my input raster, I'm going to go over here to my topography, and I'm going to grab this Bare Earth 2018 DEM and just drag and drop it in there. If you can't drag and drop it in there, you can go to this folder button, and you just navigate to where that geodatabase is located, and you can select it in there too. It does the exact same thing. I want it to output somewhere. It'd be nice if I could stick it in the same geodatabase, and I'm going to call this Contours 10 feet. It's going to be my first one that I'm going to try. Where it says contour interval, I'm going to type in 10. And I'll go ahead and click OK. Down here on the lower right, it'll show what it's processing. Sometimes it may or may not show anything there. If it doesn't show anything there, you can go over here to your Results tab, expand out current session, and you can see there's a little hourglass showing that it's working. It's doing something. Once it's done, it'll pop up in there as the top layer. Can't see anything, so I'm going to right click on this, go to Properties, and I'm just going to choose the color that really pops out. So I'm going to go into my symbology, click on this button here. I'm going to choose something that kind of pops out, and I'm going to choose a thick line so I can see it. And if I zoom out just a little bit, that's every 10-foot contour. So the area I chose is pretty flat because the next 10-foot contour happens way down here. But what this does tell me is that water is generally moving from the west to the east. Don't know how exactly it's moving, but that's the general direction. So I probably want to run the contour tool again. Let's try every 5 feet. So I'm just doing the exact same thing again. And I'm going to output it into the same geodatabase. And in here I'm going to say I want every 5 feet. Click OK, let that run. Probably going to take a little bit longer now since there's more contours it needs to delineate. And I'm going to right click on these and make these stand out as well. Since they're hard to see, probably just use the same color. Make them 2. There they are. That's every 5 feet. So this area is super flat. Alright, so I'm going to do contours again. Maybe do every 2 feet. This can sometimes be a trial and error thing. And this will take longer to process, since there's a lot more contours now. And I'll go ahead and change the symbologies on these guys as well. And I'm starting to see a little bit more, but it's mostly the top of the buildings. It's not really... Let me go over here to my select tool and maybe select on a contour line and see where it takes me. Yeah, it kind of ends right here. Contour shouldn't end in the middle of nowhere. It's a good thing to keep in mind if you decide to import this into Civil 3D. I can deselect by clicking the tool right next to that. If you don't see this tool up here, I believe that's the standard toolbar. It could be this one, or it could be this tools one here, if you don't have that toolbar. Let me select this one over here and see what it's doing. Yeah, I can see this whole area is really controlled by curb and gutter system. You can see by looking at this. I can also use the identify tool to see what elevations things are. So this is contour 1028. Let me go select that. So I get the general feeling that runoff may come along this curb here, and it probably goes this way. It's probably captured by these other drains. And this one may go this way and comes down on this side, which is captured by this stuff. So I'm thinking that my watershed or my catchment boundary is probably around here somewhere. I mean, I could always go do a site visit to verify, but I'm going to change my line here to kind of like the center line of this street. I'm thinking that's where it is. I mean, I don't have this line perfectly on the center line of the street. You can be a little bit off, which is okay. So I'm going to guess it's here. And then on this top one on Bluemont, I'm going to guess that the center of the street is around here. So anything that flows on this side is going to be captured within these things going on here. So I'm thinking this is probably where I want my boundary to be. Let me check this. I'm going to go ahead and delineate 1 foot contours simply because this area is just so flat. And this will take a super long time since we're doing every 1 foot now. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and change the symbology of this so that I can actually see it. And I have a lot more contours here. So all I'm doing here is I'm just verifying that what I've selected as my boundary is more representative. And I can kind of see over here in my Riley County GIS is I'm not sure what's actually collecting into these ones here on the right. I'm thinking that things might be draining maybe upwards or maybe coming down this way. I'm not 100% sure because I can see over here across the street there's a drain inlet, so I'm thinking it's capturing some stuff that's coming in this way from over here. This is where a site visit can actually help you. And over here, maybe there's some stuff that's coming along this curve that it's capturing over here. And the same thing over here. So this side, you know, I might not have too much of this that I really need to include as part of my system boundary, but I'm going to leave it in there just in case I might need it. So since I have more contours here, I'm going to go ahead and select on some of these just so I can see what's going on. Yeah, I can see that because remember, water flows perpendicular to contours. Water's moving this way. So you could say it's a little bit higher here. So it's kind of going kind of like towards the northeasterly direction. So I think this runoff here is probably collecting into this catchment, but it's going this way. So when I delineate my actual catchments, I don't think there's going to be much here on the right side that I'm going to include. But I'm going to leave it like this just because it makes a nice little box. And let's see what's going on over here. I think there's this is some sort of junction. It's not an inlet, so it's a manhole. Here there's an inlet. There's an inlet here. And an inlet down here. That's what I can see. So I'm just going to leave it as this. I'm going to deselect, and I'm going to maybe make this box a little bit bigger so it crosses the street. And I'm going to use this as kind of like my system definition for the catchment area that I chose.